You are Locked On Texans Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Houston on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
And boy, oh boy, do we have an ugly football game to talk about tonight on the Locked On Texans Postcast. Our first primetime Thursday night football game of the season, and it was not good for your Texans. I am Michael Connor. That is Wade Smith, former Texans lineman. We are here with you, breaking it all down. Tonight's episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNFL and use code all lowercase LockedOnNFL to win $50 instantly when you play $5. Wade, just going to jump right into it, man. I know that the Minnesota game was awful, but it was still so early in the season that I just feel like you just kind of chalk it up to whatever. This one right here, there's a lot of bad to it. Tell me to not be on the ledge. There's a lot of people on the ledge tonight with this football team. How do you not get on the ledge tonight?
Well, it counts as one game. I would just say this. Halloween games, I feel like a Halloween Thursday night, we got a Halloween Thursday night type of performance, really by both teams. Like,
it was ugly.
Garrett Wilson makes an outstanding play on a 3rd and 19 to convert, and that was pretty much the difference in the ball game. But there was a lot of ugly. You got guys getting personal fouls on field goals by the Jets to keep a drive alive for the Texans. And then the Texans, they made the field goal on the play and then got the personal foul. So it moves you closer. You think you can take advantage and score a touchdown. You end up getting stopped again because you can't protect up front. You can't complete a pass. And then you kick the field goal, which should be a chip shot, by one of the better kickers in the league. Kaimi Fairbairn misses that field goal. So you would have been better off without the penalty. And then you had the Jets earlier in the game, roughing the punter. Like, there was a lot of ugly Halloween-like bad luck. You see the final score was 21-13. That 13 score, I think it was fitting for tonight. It was ugly. It was unlucky. Guys were getting beat up. The Texans offensive line got beat up. The offensive linemen in and out of the lineup. You know, Green goes down, Tunsil goes down for a bit, ends up coming back. It was just ugly, man. CJ Stroud got hit. Every other time he dropped back, he felt like he was getting hit. And then there's a lot of times when he had time, you could tell he didn't believe he was going to have time because he's getting hit so often. And then receivers aren't getting open. CJ's off. It was ugly. And I'm just going to chalk it up to it's one game. The Meadowlands, there must be some type of juju on there. Last time I was there, we had a great performance. I thought, successful performance. We ran the ball up and down the field. It was a good ball game. But since then, going up there to Meadowlands, it ain't been a good trip for the Texans. And so this fell right along the line of what it was last year. It was just an ugly performance all the way around. I thought the defense, for the most part, played a damn good ball game. They kept them in the ball game. Like I said, there was two big plays in the second half. Aaron Rodgers throws a Hail Mary, just throws it up and lets Garrett Wilson go up and make a play. He pulls it down, it looked like Michael Jordan, like the logo, makes an amazing catch, gets his shin down. It's a legit catch, great play. And then later on in the ball game, you got a matchup that you would never want. You got Jalen Petrie in the slot against Devontae Adams. That's just you're asking for trouble, man-to-man coverage, and they take advantage of that, and that's the difference in the ball game. But just overall, I was really happy again with what Mixon does. Mixon brings a lot to the table running the football. I wish they would have ran him 40 times. He had 24 carries. I wish he would have 40 carries, just based off of how things were going up front, where you could not protect for any kind of consistency at all. And CJ's getting beat up. CJ, you could tell that those shots were affecting him physically and affecting him mentally because he did not trust that he was going to have time to to survey the field and get to the second, third, fourth option. And the Jets got a damn good defense. They've always had good defense. They have good cornerbacks, play tight man coverage. They got a defensive line that's going to get after you. This game was tailor-made for, hey, let's just line up and run the ball at them, try to control the game in that way. And the Texans in the first half, especially, I thought they did a good job of that. In the second half, they didn't run the ball well, and in the second half, they continue to not have trouble protecting C.J. Stroud, and you come up with an ugly loss on Halloween night. You just got to chalk it up. That's one game, but that was an ugly game.
I mentioned this to you before we started that I got a little engaged with people on social media tonight because, now this is the post game host in me because I do this all year long with baseball and it's 162 games and like you can't overreact to anything in a 162 game season. In a NFL season, sure, I get it. You can overreact. There's only 17 of these games. They all matter. That's part of the brilliance of the NFL. It's why we love it so much. It's once a week and they're significant. The Sky, I will tell you tonight, I'm frustrated as hell. Like it was I'm hitting my head against the wall watching this game tonight because I am screaming like everybody else. Like, could you please protect your franchise quarterback? Could you do something to give him a chance to throw the football where he's not getting sacked 8 times? I'm not going to bring up the ghost of David Carr in the past or anything like that. That's a long time ago. But I mean, like, that's the kind of night that David Carr would have where you're going out there and getting hit eight times. But I will say that, I will say this for me. I don't think that this is something that you guys that are out there that are watching or live or whatever, like you can't decide that the season's over. I can't tell you how many people I got tonight, Wade, that just seriously told me that this team's terrible. This team stinks. CJ Stroud has regressed. Like, I get it. It's frustrating, but we got to pump the brakes for a second. We're going to acknowledge everything that they did bad tonight, right? I mean, I thought, you tell me, I thought Bobby Slowick's play calling at times was just god awful. What the Joe Mixon play was.
Yeah.
Having him throw the ball. Like, I mean, it's just,
that was a waste. It was a waste of play.
Tonight.
I didn't understand that. That was a waste of play. But yeah, keep going.
I just think it's one of those nights where everything comes together and it makes you incredibly angry, and I'm incredibly angry with it too because they get back into your life and they start playing good football and all they do is everybody complain, all they do is win close games. Who cares? Like, with someone we have to have logic to it. You win, you win. You lose, you lose. It is what it is. Now, I will say, I get some of the freaking out because you look at the stretch ahead. I say the stretch. I mean, next week's not going to be easy. We'll talk about them in a little bit. But, I mean, you could be staring at a 6-4 record here before you know it.
Yeah, I mean, if the Texans play next week like they played this week, they definitely would be 6-4. Mm-hmm. The Detroit Lions are one of the better teams in the league. They're probably the best team in the NFC right now. They're going to run the ball down your throat. They have 2 really good running backs. They got quarterback that has a bunch of receivers. St. Brown, like those guys make big plays. So the tight end and Laporta, like they have skilled guys, very talented, that are very effective. So you can't put together performance like you had tonight against Detroit. Now, Detroit's defensive line is not like the Jets' defensive line. Their cornerbacks are not like the Jets' cornerbacks. So the Texans' offense should be able to have a better performance against that. But I just look at it like this, man. You're going against a formidable defense. You know what you have. I just didn't like the approach, the lack of aggressiveness that took place up front, going against a guy like Quentin Williams, going against some of the D linemen, the McDonald's and the Hassan Reddicks, the guys that you had that the O-line had to go against. I just didn't like the approach. There was times you saw early in the ball game before Kenyon Green got hurt. He's setting and waiting and letting a guy that is a fire breather, a dog, to just attack him. Like, you're not gonna just slow down a dog by waiting. You have to be aggressive, and you have to change things up. And there's a lot of things that you can do to help you play against a guy like that. You need to punch him and cut him one time, make him think about, damn, my knees. This guy's a little. There's things that you can do, crafty ways that you can do to slow guys like that down. And I ain't seen none of that. And, you know, when the game was in the balance, when the game was the Jets offense was playing terrible early on. The Texans defense was dominating early on. And there's opportunities for the Texans to build on a lead, for them to put some drives together and put points in. They couldn't protect up front. They just couldn't protect up front. They ran the ball decently. I thought Mixon ran the ball very well. But I just see too much catching. I see too much passiveness. I don't see enough finish. I don't see enough guys fighting. Like I don't see enough players saying, man, the Texans are dirty up front. I don't like them. Like you need that. You need guys thinking about, well, damn, am I gonna finish this game if I'm playing with them? Like if you're at a disadvantage because someone is more talented than you, that's more physically, you got to bring something to the table to try to nullify that. I'm not seeing none of that. And so that's very disappointing, especially when you have behind you what you have behind you. You have an A1 running back, you have an A1 quarterback. You're hurt at the receiver position. As an offensive lineman, you got to step up. I mean, there was times, think about the 2011 season, and it's crazy when you think about it. Andre Johnson played 7 games that year.
Yeah.
He played 7 games. So you going into games knowing that Andre Johnson, the Hall of Fame receiver, is not going to be out there. So as an offensive line, you take it upon yourself to say, we're going to control this game up front. I'm not seeing that. And so, and the guys are talented enough to do it. So it's very disappointing to see the lack of aggressiveness, the lack of just fight, just the lack of fight. That's the big thing. And I'm just watching. I'm not seeing anybody. Like I seen Kendrick Green come in the game and play with that kind of physical play, putting guys down. Like, you see him being physical, but you also see him missing and whiffing early in the play. So it's like when you see that, you say, okay, I understand maybe why this guy is not getting the opportunities early on in the year, because Kenyon Green showed himself to be a little bit more consistent, maybe. I don't know. But I do know that throughout the night, Quentin Williams was very, very effective. They were taking turns up front, getting beat. And when your franchise quarterback is starting to have happy feet, his accuracy is off. He's not stepping into throws. He's having to fade away to throw because he's got people hitting him in his, like, he was taking a lot of shots.
I'd like to go back and see the number of times that he even had his feet set on a throw. It has to be in the single digits.
It's very, very low. And you have to take that personally. You really have to take that personally as an offensive lineman. I'm just speaking as an offensive lineman right now. Like, you have to take that personally, that your guy is getting hit that much. And there's as an offensive lineman, you have games like that. That's just part of, you have games like that. But the problem is that the Texans have had multiple games like that this season. This is not the first time this has happened, where you're saying to yourself, CJ is getting hit too much. And this is the problem. If you lose CJ, now the doom and gloom becomes a legitimate, reasonable thought. And so because he continues to get hit, I think people are like, man, it's only a matter of time. They got to clean that up. They really got to clean it up. And if it's something to where you say to yourself, hey, you know what? We need to line up and stay in 21 personnel and run the ball downhill and not, use 3-4 wide receiver sets so that we can just run the ball and play action off of the run and just win a bunch of close games, so be it. Because right now, the Texans up front are not showing that they can line up in 3-4 wide in these bunch sets and handle the blitz off the edges. They're showing that they can't do that. They're showing that, when teams run games, the games are going to get home. So you're going to have to work with what you got. And working with what you got means, like, you got Joe Mixon. I thought Taylor ran the ball pretty well tonight.
He ran hard.
Hey, find you a fullback, whoever that is. I think I saw that.
Yeah, they ran for 187 tonight.
They ran for 187. I mean, but they needed to run the ball like 15 more times.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing. Like, the game was never really out of bounds. I just feel like they needed to run the ball more. That's maybe what you're talking about with Bobby Slowick. Like,
Yeah.
But I just that game was ugly in a lot of different ways. Multiple missed field goals. There was just a lot of things that happened that you said to yourself. The Jets were trying to gift the Texans the game with some of the penalties that they were giving them, and the Texans didn't take advantage of them. And
Hey, we didn't even bring up
the
Jets gave away 7 points, 6 points on a walk into the end zone. I mean, what are you doing? How does that happen? How does that still happen in the NFL in 2024?
It happens not just in the NFL.
I know it's everywhere.
It happens in college. It happens so often that I'm gonna be honest. I'm the type person, like, if you're my teammate, we're not attaboying after that.
Yep.
We're not attaboying after that. Hey, fortunately, I've never had that happen with a teammate. But hey, protect the peel with your life. Finish the play. Just finish the play. There's so much celebration that you can do half a second later. To me, it's not even a cool celebration.
No.
When you run and as soon as you pass the line, you drop the ball. That don't even look dope to me. It don't even look clean. Like, it ain't even. That ain't what it is.
I'd want to hold on to the ball. How many touchdowns are you gonna get in the NFL?
Yeah, I don't even know the dude's name.
Yeah. And
you're gonna know his name for the wrong reason. Like, stuff like that gets you cut in this league. Like, stuff like that gets you cut. Yep. And they don't process that. They don't get that. You will find yourself having to call movers. That's that type of league you play in. If you don't do your job and you're not the man and you're not getting paid like the man, your margin for error is very low. I don't know that guy's name. I didn't even try to pay attention to it because I didn't want to know him for that.
Yeah.
But he was not a known player. Stuff like that will get you cut. And it happens like way too often. I just don't get it. Like, finish the play. Very simple. And the Texans still did not take advantage of that and win the ball game when they were gifted, a touchback when it should have been a touchdown on a well-executed play. It was a well-executed play, well blocked up. Dude wasn't even really touched.
Mm-hmm.
And then he just flips the ball. I don't even think it's a cool celebration. So to me, that it's super dumb because it don't even look good. Yeah. And then when you're trying to look good and it costs you, it looks very selfish. Like, and it is very selfish. Like, finish the play. Guys was going over there tapping them on the head like, nah. Listen, if I was a Jet fan, you'd have every right. I hate to see what was going on Twitter after that play happened. I hate to know what's going on Twitter at the time because Twitter is not a safe space.
No, not at all.
And after a play like that, you get killed and stuff like that. You walking around the grocery store and somebody gonna say something to you. Like, what are you
in New York? Yeah.
Come on, dog. Like, don't just leave no doubt. Finish the play. And the Texans, hey, the score stays 0-0. The Texans scored a touchdown. I think if not the next drive, the drive after that, and was up 7-0. But that, like I said, the Jets were trying to do everything they could to give the Texans that game, even though the Texans could not sustain anything really offensively. They had a great drive, 14-play drive. I believe that was was that second quarter? Second quarter?
Yeah, second quarter, yeah.
14-play drive after
it was a great drive. Yeah, started down like the 3.
Started at the 2-3 yard line. Yeah, it was 97-yard drive, I believe. That was a great drive from beginning to end. But besides that, man, it wasn't a lot of good offensively for the Texans. And it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate, and we got to figure out. They're gonna have to go back to the drawing board and figure out what are we gonna do to manufacture more up front, protect CJ more up front. And that's the thing about it. You know that's what they're doing. They're racking their brains. The coaches they're going to be up. What time is it right now? It's
almost probably 11 our time. So
it's 11 o'clock Central Time. The coaching staff ain't going to sleep till 5 o'clock in the morning. If that, they're going to be up on the plane ride home, going over it. They're going to get back to the facility. They're probably not going to go home tonight. Maybe D'Amico will send them home, but they ain't sleeping well tonight after that performance. And so, they're going to put in the work to try to get it fixed. But, hey, in my opinion, to get it fixed, they need to just be trying to highlight and focus on mixing, running the ball downhill, play action and off of those runs, and stay away from the drop back passing right now because that drop back passing is not It's getting their quarterback. They're putting them at risk. Right now, they're putting them at risk. And it sucks for me to say that, because as an offensive lineman, for me to say that, like, I'm putting my quarterback at risk by doing drop back passing when it's our job to protect them. That makes me sick to my stomach. But that's the reality of the situation right now. That got to get fixed.
Yeah, got to get fixed. Let's get a quick couple messages in here, and we'll continue. I have a question for you based off of what we've seen. I have a theory. I want to hear your thoughts on the theory. We'll do that next year on the Locked On Texans Postcast. You know what the Texans could have used tonight? 5-hour energy. Yeah, they needed a lot of that. Our friends at 5-hour energy know that being a passionate football fan isn't just a hobby. It's a way of life. It takes a lot of energy to power through all-day tailgates, touchdown celebrations, and an agonizing second overtime. 5-hour energy knows no matter what team you root for, being a fan requires heart, soul, and a lot of energy. Whether you're prepping for the big tailgate, as I mentioned, or ironing your jersey, your game day to-do list is always a mile long. That's why the limited edition Stan the Fan 5-hour energy shot is here to help keep you fueled throughout the season. What's your fan fuel this week? Whatever it is, do it with 5-hour energy. Available on 5hourenergy.com, shipped nationwide. I'll remind you guys about FanDuel. You can get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out your latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sports book of the NFL. One final reminder, we get back to our Texas discussion. I want to tell you guys about Bilt. That's right, Bilt. It is a very cool way to get you looking for, Bilt is breaking ground as a neighborhood rewards program that hooks you up with points on your rent every month. Pay your rent and watch the bill points roll in. Use points to jet off on a dream vacation. Put your points toward a flight or a hotel stay with 500-plus airlines and 700,000-plus hotels and properties. You can also use your points to book fitness studio classes. Redeem toward future rent payments. They're designed to meet your lifestyle. Pay your rent free of hassle through the Bilt Rewards app. Your rent game just got a major upgrade. Bilt points have been consistently ranked the highest value point currency by the Points Guy and Bankrate. Earn points by paying rent now when you go to join Bilt.com/lockedon. That's JOINBILT.com/lockedonnfl. Make sure to use our URL so they know we sent you. Join Bilt.com/lockedonnfl to start earning points with your rent payments today. All right, it's our Locked On Texans Postcast, the first of 3 straight late-night editions, by the way, here on the channel. I'm Michael Connor. He's Wade Smith, former Texans lineman. He's the perfect man to talk to in these kind of situations because he played the offensive line, and he played on some good offensive lines for the Texans. So it'd be nice. That's the frustrating thing, Wade, is that they were good last year, and CJ had time, and it's been the opposite this season. My question to you, or I guess my theory is, for the maybe, I don't know, I'm not saying that's why they played bad tonight. You guys are professional athletes that take your craft very seriously, and this is me being the host and just spitballing things out there. Do you think there's any complacency for this football team? Because you mentioned not seeing the fight up front, and I say complacency because they just got finished sweeping the Colts. They had a 2-game lead into it. Like, for all intents and purposes, they've got the division basically wrapped up because they're not going to go the rest of the season and not win a game, right? Like, they're going to find their way to 10 wins at minimum this season. Do you wonder if there's any thought of that, like, at all, or is this just a short week, madness, play poorly, get your butt kicked, and you just wash it?
Yeah, I don't think there was complacency at all. You can't be complacent when you know that you're playing against Quentin Williams and the defensive line for the Jets as an offensive lineman. There was no complacency because you know that if we don't play well, we're gonna get embarrassed. Like that's how good they are up front. So you can't go into those games with complacency. I do think that there's a lack of what's the word for it? I don't see enough willingness
Urgency?
to get. There's just not enough nasty up front.
Okay.
I'm just not seeing enough nasty up front. Like Kendrick Green, he plays nasty. Shaq Mason plays nasty. I don't really see much nasty besides that. I don't really see a lot of consistent like nasty. I don't see that very often. And that's like across the board. That's the tight end play. I don't see a lot of nasty. And this is one of those games where you got to play nasty because that's what this team is that you're playing against. They're very physical. They get off the ball. I didn't think the cadence was switched up enough because it was plenty of times that the Jets were timing up the snap and they're blowing up the Texans offensive linemen because they're timing up the snap. You gotta keep them honest. I didn't see enough of that cadence to kind of keep the defensive line from jumping the counts like that. Too many times I saw that happen in this game. I don't think they were complacent. I just think they didn't have the right temperament to match the energy that you were going to get from a hungry team, a team that, hey, if you lose this game, basically their season is over. If they go to 2-7 in the AFC, the season is over for them. And so it just, like I said, the Texans defense held the Jets to under 300 yards. This is the same Jets team that has Breece Hall, Devontae Adams, Garrett Wilson, and Aaron Rodgers. Like, they have a bunch of big name, very productive players on their team. And the Texans defense held them to under 300 yards. You got to go win that game if you're the Texans. You got to win that game. You give up 6 points in special teams with field goals. You give up 6 points there. You put those 6 points on the board. That now the score is 21-19. That's a different ball game. You offensively, you run the ball effectively, 187 yards rushing, but you do not protect the quarterback. You get the quarterback beat up. Now, 187 yards, I think CJ probably ran for about 60 yards. I don't know how much he ran for, but he was plenty of times that he was scrambling and
he ran for 59.
50. Hey, I'm telling you, I can eyeball it. He ran for 59 yards. Like, Joe Mixon did his thing. CJ scrambled and got yards, but those weren't designed runs for CJ. CJ was running because he was getting pressure or guys weren't getting open. I would have much rather seen them. I would love to see the Texans tight ends play a more physical brand of football so that you could keep them in the game. I think that's part of the problem that what Slowick has to deal with is like running this offense. You're used to having Kittle. Mm-hmm. There's no Kittle on this roster, right? Go back to the old school Texans. There's no Joel Dreesen. There's no, there's no. These guys are not playing physical at the point of attack. Just go watch the tape. And so that makes you want to get those guys off the field to run the ball because you can't hold the edge. But then now you got receivers blocking bigger guys, and you're getting like, how many holding calls did you get today? How many holding calls on good runs did you get today? It was multiple holding calls, guys wrapping guys up. And
Robert Woods had a rough night blocking people.
It was, but it's like, I would rather see him blocking guys from a split formation instead of being right there at the point of attack because you're in these bunch formations. But they're in those bunch they have to do that because they don't have enough confidence in their tight ends to hold their ground at the point of attack. And so, and in that offense, in this offense, in our offense, that you got to have that. You got to have guys that can hold the point at the point of attack and then let a guy like Mixon do what he does. You see how effective he was. And like I said, I'm just not seeing enough physicality up front. I'm just not seeing it. And that's anti-DeMeco Ryans. Like, yeah, defensively, it looks like a DeMeco Ryans team. Offensively, I'm not seeing it. And I'm not seeing enough guys taking it personal to where they like either holding themselves accountable or holding the guy next to them accountable. Like having the mindset of like, when I look at the film on Friday, Saturday now, but on Monday, on a normal week, on a Monday, when you look at the film, you don't ever want to have that pointer looking up there and it pointing at you because you didn't play physical enough. Everybody is going to get beat. Everybody is going to make mistakes, but there's a way of playing the game to where everybody say like, well, I'll go to war with that guy. Like we can go get in a fight together. We'll find if there's something that goes down in the alley, I'm comfortable with this person next to him because I know he's going to give me everything I got. I'm just not seeing enough physicality. I'm not seeing enough fight. And it's translating to the quarterback getting beat up. And that is a huge problem because this team is out of the conversation if you lose that guy back there. Mm-hmm. Just personal experience. Matt Schaub gets hurt on a fluke play in 2011. At the time, I believe we were 7-3, I want to say.
Yeah.
Maybe 8-3, 7-3, something like that. And it completely changed the trajectory of that year, even though we were able to overcome it because
that defense was great and Arian could run the ball.
Our offensive line didn't have games like that.
Yeah. After
Schaub got hurt, we didn't have games like that. But at the same time, like when you have that, you just the way the league works, man, you got to take advantage of the opportunities you have. I want to see this team win so bad. And I just want to see them. I want to see them fight to the point where you say, "Hey, the other team was just better than us." But it wasn't that they didn't take our lunch money or nothing like that. Like it was a fight, and they were better fighters. Like go out on your shield. I need to see more guys going out on their shields. I'm not seeing that right now. I'm not seeing, and I'm talking about in a play where maybe you get beat initially in a play, and then you do something to save it. What legal or illegal, you do something to save it so that the quarterback doesn't get hit. At the end of the day, I don't care about the other team. I care about CJ. That's got to be the mentality up front. If I take a penalty and this guy gets hurt, but CJ don't get hit, it is what it is.
Yeah,
that is what it is. But they just got to be better. They got to be better up front. They got to be better. They got to be better up front. It starts there. CJ's got to be better. But I don't expect CJ to be better when he's getting hit upside the head. That's just my mentality as an offensive lineman. I don't expect CJ to play well when he's getting hit all damn time. I just don't expect that. I don't know many quarterbacks to get beat up like that and have good games. No. Somebody give me examples. When Tom Brady got beat up, they got beat, and he looked pedestrian.
Look at Rodgers this year. I know that he's a 40-year-old quarterback, and he's definitely lost a lot of physicality. But I mean, their offensive line this season has had a horrible time protecting him, and he goes out there.
They were horrible today too. They looked bad today. Will Anderson gets hurt, it changes things.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. When he was like early on in the ball game, the Jets looked like it was going to be a great day at the office for the Texans defense. They were getting after him. They were getting sacks. Almost had a fumble recovery for a touchdown, but it wasn't a fumble. That was the right call. The dude never had control of that catch. But the Jets were struggling. They were struggling to protect Aaron Rodgers. The Texans were getting pressure. They were getting sacks. They were forcing him to get the ball out early when he didn't want to. The Texans DBs were making plays. The Texans defense, like I said, they played well. They couldn't play well enough to overcome the lack of production on the offensive side of the ball. If you watch that game, if you're offensive players, you got to say that game was on us. If I'm an offensive lineman, I say that game was on us. That game was on me. Because the defense did enough to win that game. And, the Jets did enough to give you that game, and you just didn't get it. So it's Halloween on a Thursday night. It was a lot of ugly. And the Texans got a few extra days to get healed. They got to get healthy fast. Like Will Anderson, you need him back this game. Nico Collins, you need him back this game because Detroit Lions, this is a different animal. This is not the New York Jets. This is Detroit Lions.
This feels like the best team in football right now is coming in to play you. That's fine for me. Yeah,
I think over if Aiden Hutchinson doesn't get hurt, I say that with confidence. Like, they're one of the best. But I just think up front, they're not going to be as productive getting after the quarterback. and I think that'll hurt them on the back end. But offensively, to me, it's the most balanced offensive team in the league right now.
And
Where they can run the ball. We have two great running backs. They have a great tight end. They have a great receiver. They have a quarterback that's damn good.
And good play caller.
And they have a good play call, and they have an offensive line that gets after your ass.
Yeah.
Like they're going to beat you up front. And so the Texans defense, I'm glad that they got a couple of extra days to heal up from this game and get healthier. But they're going to need their best A-game performance to handle what Detroit has to offer. It's going to be a similar ball game down the future when they have to play the Ravens, where you got two damn good running backs, where with the Ravens, it's, they got a damn good quarterback, but he totes the thing too like a running back. And then you have Derrick Henry. And then with the Detroit Lions, you got two damn good running backs, where Montgomery and Gibbs, like, those guys are a problem. And so, I have confidence in the Texans defense because they've shown all year long that I can't think of the performance where I said, man, the defense didn't play well today. I haven't had, like, there's games where they didn't play well enough to get it done. But like, even when they played against the Vikings, I know the quarterback.
There were moments in that Minnesota game,
but
that
it was
still
like,
yeah.
I forgot what his line was, but it was something goofy like 13 for 27 and 4 touchdowns. It was like something wild like that. And it was all short touchdowns off of stuff that was being given up by the offense. So I don't know, man. I'm glad they got a couple extra days to look at this stuff. It's tough when you come off, you beat the Colts and you only got 3 days before you got to travel to come to New York. And you could tell that, they weren't. I feel like, and you call it complacency, maybe it's just a sense of urgency. And I don't know if it's just like it's an overall sense of urgency or not, but just up front, I'm very disappointed with what went down, because like I said, every time I'm seeing CJ getting hit, he's not getting up. He's having to go out the game. They're showing images of Davis Mills on the sideline. That's a problem. Like that's the last thing you want to have happen, because if I'm looking at the stat line, 11 for 30. CJ Stroud.
That's not a CJ line, yeah.
One of the most accurate quarterbacks in the NFL goes 11 for 30. That's unacceptable. And I don't blame CJ one bit.
Yeah, I don't either. And they're going to play a team next week that's, like you said, I mean, you talk about the Texans defense takes up the personality of D'Amico. They need the whole team to take that personality with what you're talking about on the offense. That Detroit team takes the personality of Dan Campbell.
Yeah.
And they play that way too. So it's going to be if you're not ready for it, they're going to come out and rock you in the mouth. The last question before we get out of here that I wanted to ask you was trade deadline's coming up Tuesday.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't really have a history of it. It's a hard deadline. There's already been a lot of moves that have been made across the league. Do you think that they're going out there and looking for something to help? I know that Tank Dell stepped up tonight. You mentioned a minute ago. I mean, you're hopeful that Nico Collins is coming back here. Obviously, we haven't even mentioned it. You lose Stephon Diggs, which sucks, absolutely sucks. I don't think it would hurt to go out and try and find another piece to add to this offense. It's not going to fix the issues up front, clearly.
Right.
But do you think they do anything between now and I think it's Tuesday at 4 or 5 o'clock or something like that?
I'm going to be honest with you. I think the priority offensively is to find a starting quality guard and a blocking tight end. I think they got enough stuff around it. When Nico comes back, that if you get those two pieces, then the offense can be effective enough to win a bunch of ball games. I don't know the receiver that's out there that's going to be available, that's going to be a difference maker. And a receiver is not a difference maker if you don't get the damn ball off.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't matter if it doesn't matter that you have great receivers if you can't get the ball off. And at the end of the day, if the quarterback is getting pressured half the time that he drops back, then trading for a receiver doesn't matter. I'd rather them trade for somebody that's struggling right now. Trade for a left guard. You look like Keenan Green, like he's hurt. Kendrick. I would love for them to put Kendrick Green at fullback. Put him at fullback. Trade for a left guard and put him at left guard. That's going to be a physical guy at the point of attack. Do that. Find you a tight end that can block on the trade market. Do those things will help this particular offense more than anything that I think that a receiver. And of course, getting Nico Collins back. I think those things will help because, like I said, with the combination, what Mixon's doing for you. I know Damian Pierce was banged up today. I guess he has a little groin. I don't know how serious that's going to be, how long that's going to be. But he was running the ball well when he had opportunities to run the ball well. I like what I've seen out of Taylor. Dario Gunwale has played well. Like, I think that's got to be the mentality of like, let's run the ball downhill and play action. That's going to keep your quarterback protected. That's going to allow you to control the clock, play, smash mouth football. And you got a smash mouth running back that can do it. And then it's going to help your defense out and allow them to be opportunistic like they've been all year. And then you can win a bunch of close ball games. I don't care how you win them. You just got to figure out how to win them. But I do know this, if you continue to have to drop back 30, 40 times a game, because they drop back more than 30 times. CJ ran the ball probably 7-8 times on scrambles. So if you're
30 attempts, and he had eight carries, so he
8
dropped
carries,
back at least 38 times tonight.
38 dropbacks. Like, if you're having to do that with the way that the pass protection is, CJ is not going to finish this season. And that's a problem. So I think if I'm looking at the trade deadline, I'm much rather do that than try to find a receiver. Because like I said, if you find a receiver, it doesn't matter if you don't have enough time to get the receiver the ball. And if they can scheme you to get pressure with games, if they can scheme you to get it pressure with just simple dogs by nickelbacks and safeties off the edges, and you can't pick that up, it don't matter what receiving core you have. But if you can run the ball downhill and you can play action off that, and now you have guys like you running 2-3-man routes with Nico Collins and Tank Dell, those guys get open, make explosive plays. To me, that's the best bet right now for the Texans.
All right. When we do this show, we got a weekend off here, so we get next weekend. Let's just go ahead and give our prediction real quick. Are we talking about a win against the Lions? I'm going to try and be optimistic. I'm just to get the positive vibes back out there. They'll take the extra time and they'll figure something out.
I need to see what the personnel changes happen offensively before I can make a prediction. I just right now, from what I saw, the Detroit Lions are a better football team than the Houston Texans. So based off of that, Detroit should win the game because they're the better team. Now, the game is here. The Texans will be wearing that all red, that battle red. What I mean? It's going to be a nice game.
They're going to feel good.
You're gonna have the home crowd there. So, give me the Texans in a nail biter. They win it by 1. CJ Stroud late draft driving the game wins the game against Detroit Lions. Like I said, I think that the Texans will be able to move the ball more effectively against Detroit because they're not the Jets. But there's going to be teams coming up on that schedule that have defenses like the Jets. When they play the Chiefs, when they play the Ravens, when they play some teams like that, they're going to have to deal with those guys up front that's going to get after you. They're going to have to deal with DBs that are very effective on the back end. And so they're going to have to improve because my mentality is, hey, you put the roster together to beat the best teams because you're trying to win it all. And so right now, with the way things are constructed and the way they're doing things, they're not good enough right now to win it all. So I would love to see something happen at the trade deadline to where they can fix that and put themselves back in a position to where they can fight fire with fire and just play a more physical game, more consistent game up front and overall across the board in the run game, receivers, tight ends, offensive line, fullbacks, in the run game, because this is what this offense is predicated off of. And people say, "Whoa, CJ Stroud team, you got all these good receivers." You see what happens when you're having to do drop back passing with this offensive line right now, and with the protection scheme right now. It's not effective right now, and it's putting your quarterback at risk, and that's the last thing you want to do.
Yeah, it's the last thing you want to do. Well, let's hope that we're talking about positive things in about a week and a half when we do this show again. Thank you to all you out there that watched us live tonight. Those of you who are going to watch it later on recorded as well, we appreciate you. Hit subscribe on the channel. It's continuing to grow every single day. We appreciate you guys for that. Wade, it's good as always, even if it was a loss. I look forward to talking about a win very soon. You guys have a great rest of your Halloween night. Go drown your sorrows out in some candy. We'll talk to you after the Lions game right here on the Locked On Texans Postcast.